So you're thinking about buying property in Romania? That's awesome. It's a market that's absolutely packed with opportunity, but you gotta know, it comes with its own unique set of rules. In this explainer, we're gonna give you a super clear roadmap to navigate the whole thing like a pro. We're gonna turn that complexity into pure confidence. Let's jump right in. Okay, so why Romania? I mean, sure, the market growth is steady, but the real story here, it's affordability. Just take a look at these numbers for major hubs like Bucharest or Cluj-Napoca. They are pretty compelling, right? But the thing I really want you to notice is the range. That gap you see in each city tells you everything. It shows a market that has options for literally every kind of buyer, whether you're looking for a starter apartment or a high-end luxury spot. All right, to make sense of everything, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about the opportunity and the rules for buyers. Who can buy what. Then we'll walk through the actual four-step purchase process. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of understanding all the costs, not just the sticker price. And finally, we'll cover how to avoid some of the most common pitfalls. Okay, first things first, the rules. Before you even think about browsing listings, you have to know if you're actually eligible to buy. So the big question is, who can buy property in Romania, and what can they buy? Well, the first hurdle really comes down to your passport. There's a pretty clear line drawn between EU and non-EU citizens. See, if you're from the EU, you basically have the same rights as a local, which is a huge advantage. For pretty much everyone else, there are more restrictions to deal with. So in short, your citizenship really does determine your starting point in this game. Now, don't think this is the Wild West. Not at all. The Romanian real estate market is built on a really solid legal foundation. We're talking everything from the Constitution down to very specific property laws. And honestly, for you as a buyer, this is great news. It means the whole process is structured, it's secure, and it's predictable, as long as you play by the rules, of course. And here is a hard and fast rule you absolutely need to know from day one. This applies to all foreign buyers. It doesn't matter if you're from the EU or not. Agricultural land is completely off limits for direct purchase. That's a big one. So you might be wondering, if you can't always buy the land, how do big investments even happen? Well, it's through this really clever legal tool called the right of superficials. Think of it like this. It lets you own a building, like an office block or a factory, without actually owning the ground it's sitting on. This right here is the key that unlocks so many commercial and industrial projects for foreign investors. Okay, now that we've got the rules covered, let's get to the exciting part, actually buying the property. And the good news is it really breaks down into 4 pretty straightforward steps. So your journey to getting those keys follows these 4 key milestones. Step 1 is the inspection, and seriously, be thorough. Step 2, you make your offer and you negotiate everything. Step 3 is the official contract signing, which is a very formal, very legal event. And finally, step 4, the ownership transfer. That's the moment the property is officially yours. Let's just pause on step 3 for a second, because this is so important. In Romania, a property contract is basically worthless without a public notary. I mean it. Every single deal must be signed and validated in their presence. This isn't just some annoying piece of bureaucracy. It's the core legal safeguard that protects both you and the seller. Do not skip this. So you've agreed on a price. Fantastic. But, and this is a big but, that number is just the beginning. Now we need to talk about all the other costs, the different fees and taxes you'll have to pay before that property is truly 100% yours. Right, so that purchase price is just one piece of the financial puzzle. You also have all these one-time closing costs. And what's really interesting is that the transfer tax and the notary fees often end up being the biggest chunks of your closing costs. Then on top of that, you have to budget for your lawyer, the real estate agent, and the final property registration fees. Let's talk about your lawyer, who is probably your most important partner in this whole process. You should plan on budgeting about 1 to 3% of the total purchase price for their expertise. Trust me, it is money well spent. Next up is the property transfer tax. Now, this isn't a single flat rate. It actually varies quite a bit depending on where the property is located. It can be as low as 0.5%, or it can go all the way up to 3%. So where you buy really matters.
Okay, once the deal is done and you've paid all those one-time fees, your financial obligations shift a little. Now you have a recurring cost to think about: the annual property tax.
But here's the good news. The annual property taxes on residential buildings are actually quite low. The rate is calculated based on the property's taxable value, and it usually falls within this very, very modest range you see here.
And to make it super easy to remember, the payment is split into 2 installments every year. The first half is due by the end of March, and the second half is due by the end of September. You'll definitely want to mark those dates in your calendar.
We are in the home stretch now. We've gone over the rules, the process, and all the costs. So for this final section, let's talk about some of the potential challenges, and more importantly, how you can navigate them with total confidence. Look, pretty much every foreign buyer runs into a few common hurdles. You're probably going to face some language barriers with official documents, you'll need to get your head around some complex regulations, and you've got to watch out for hidden costs. And on top of all that, verifying the official property records, the cadastral records, is a very detailed task that requires a super careful eye. So, what is the single best way to overcome all of those challenges at once? Honestly, this quote from our source material says it all. The real key to a smooth, secure transaction is getting expert guidance. A reputable lawyer who specializes in Romanian property law isn't a luxury. They are an absolutely essential part of your team. So there you have it. That's the roadmap. Romania offers a stable and really affordable property market, but it's one that definitely rewards preparation and expert advice. By understanding the rules, the process, and the real costs involved, you can navigate it with confidence. So the only question left is the one right here on your screen. Is Romania your next investment?